workload doesn't slow down just because it's the holidays. Instead, you normally just increase the number of things that you have to do during the week. So how do you deal with deadlines for the work that you have to do while maintaining your social life? In today's episode, we're going to talk about prioritizing your work and personal deadlines, reducing your tasks, and maybe even offloading some of your work. We'll also address how you sometimes just have to muscle your way through the busy season until things can settle down. Lastly, we'll talk about creating a plan for the future.
Welcome to Empowering Productivity, the podcast that empowers you to break the mental chains that keep you from producing. Here are your hosts, Keely and Austin Reason.
Okay, today we're talking about how to handle the holidays. We're actually in the midst of this right now. And this is not just for holidays. Like anytime you have a really busy season come around, like I don't know about the rest of the band parents out there, but there is this like couple of weeks where band destroys our lives.
Marching band is life.
This can really help you with anything, but holidays is kind of universal because many people end up with additional parties to go to, and you know, your client load isn't going to slow down just because it's the holidays. They might slow down, but that doesn't mean that they expect any less work out of you.
Yeah, depending on the nature of your business, you might actually increase. If you're retail, if you're e-commerce, something like that, or just any number of industries actually increase their productivity and their business and their output and their earnings and everything in these last few weeks of the year.
Yeah, everybody's trying to reach that end of the year goals. So what you have to do, especially if you are a freelancer, a contractor, small business owner, is you have to prioritize your work and your personal deadlines. So this can look like a lot of different things. For example, you might have to say no to some stuff or put some things on your calendar that are non-negotiables. So at the beginning of the month, look out ahead at the things that have to get done. I have this project. It has to get done. Otherwise, I won't get paid. So I have to put that project on my calendar. I've got this school function. I have to go to it. It's not a negotiable. So start by prioritizing your work and personal deadlines. Put them on the calendar. Create a schedule, though, where you can leave room for yourself because last minute things are going to come up. Your kids are just not going to tell you about every time they need you to bring cookies to school.
Party, every single project.
Yeah.
Right.
Never mind, we're in the midst of the pandemic. Stuff is still going to come up. There will be parties.
And you also are going to want to make sure that you have time for things that you want to do last minute. You know, you suddenly want to take the kids out and go look at Christmas lights, or you want to go grab coffee with a friend that's in town for the holidays, or any number of things that pop up around this time of year. Leave some time, some gaps in there for your own sanity.
And I know that can be really tough, especially if you live constantly like full bore, like your calendar is always full. There has to be things that you trade off. And this is something my mom always taught me. She just says all of life is a trade-off. So if you said yes to something, you're saying no to everything else. Yeah. And that's pretty much what has to happen with your work and personal deadlines. This is not to say don't have a personal life during the holidays, but also don't let your workload stress you out so much or personal life stress you out so much that it reduces your ability to produce. Because when you're stressed out, you just will not get as much done when you do sit down to do your work.
And sometimes sitting down to do your work includes not doing some work. Sometimes you have to reduce your tasks. You got to prioritize your work. And sometimes prioritizing leads to you realizing, you know what, there are some things that I have here that maybe are good, maybe would be helpful, but aren't necessary. Or maybe they're not even helpful. Maybe they're just something that you do because you do it and it's a habit or whatever. So sometimes you have to reduce your overall tasks. Don't work on anything. When you're in this wall-to-wall time, don't work on anything that isn't getting you closer to your deadlines, that's not getting you closer to your goals. Also think about when you're setting your deadlines, realize that sometimes your deadline is maybe on the other side of another deadline. Maybe it's on the other side of another hurdle or another item on the calendar, and you don't have to work on it right now. Sometimes you can make those kinds of cuts in these high times of busyness and stress and all these extra things. Do you have to go to every one of the Christmas parties that you've been invited to? I mean, I know the answer is, yeah, you want to, but can you make it maybe, 7 instead of 8 this year? Can you skip 1 or 2, including other kind of social events, like maybe you're going to networking meetings. Around this time of year, everybody's getting busy, and everybody kind of understands that everybody's getting busy. Your networking group is going to cut you a lot of slack if you miss the Wednesday meeting between Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. Like, maybe you don't make it to that one, and that's okay. You can even renegotiate some of your deadlines. I said that you have to look and see, are your deadlines on the other side of other things? Maybe you can push them. Maybe you can reach out to that client and say, we're doing good. We're making good progress on this project, but we want to push it out to the first of the year because we want to really give it our all and give you the best possible outcome. And so rather than trying to get it in, by the 27th, why don't we see if we can get it done by the 3rd or something like that?
Yeah, I've actually been doing a lot this week because it was Thanksgiving the last week, and I had several projects where, the team was working as hard as they could, but we could not get the deadlines that I gave them that I was hoping to get. So I just told the clients, hey, we'll pick right back up after Thanksgiving. And do you know what? No one even responded to that. Why? Because they were off doing Thanksgiving.
They had already
clocked out for the day.
That's right. And sometimes renegotiating in that way can be helpful because it's another touch with your client. It's another touch with your customer, whoever it is, where you're reaching out and reminding them that you're both actual human beings. You're a human being, they're a human being, and everybody knows that that sometimes things have to change up a little bit.
So this one was actually very difficult. Offloading your work. This was hard for me for a lot of years because I didn't feel like I had anywhere to offload the work, or I felt like it was my task. This was my job. I didn't want to give it away to anybody.
Keely doesn't like giving up her babies.
I don't like giving up my babies. I also don't like trusting people. So that's another difficulty.
Ooh.
And I'm actually a very good manager. I'm very good at delegating. I don't really love delegating things that I feel personally responsible to, though. So offloading your work is really important during this time. For example, if you have assistants that you can hand your work off to, maybe you're a business owner that has some contractors, or you can get some contractors to help you. So many businesses pick up extra help during this time. And it's not just because of a swell of work. It's because other people in the store need time off. You need time off. It's all kinds of things. So don't wait, get it off your plate. That's something I have had to tell myself so many times. Oh my goodness, because it's not fair to my team for me to come to them on Tuesday morning and be like, can you get this done by noon? So I had to stop waiting. I have to just get things off my plate. But if you can't afford contractors or helpers in your business or don't have anything to offload, then find ways to offload household tasks. And this was difficult for me as well because I was, the one who did all of this stuff in my home, all this homemaking things. And as the kids have gotten older and Austin has been home more, everyone in our household has to take on tasks. And maybe this isn't permanent for you, but during busy times, you have to get that help. If you don't have help at home, then let things slide. You cannot do it all. You're going to have to just let things pile up. Whatever this looks like, maybe the dishes don't get done for 3 days. Maybe that means you don't do laundry for 2 weeks. You just go buy new leggings instead of washing what you have. There is Amazon, deliver it right to your door.
Yeah. Buy some disposable dishes,
Right. Actually, I have friends who do that during this time of year.
Yeah.
And then pay for conveniences. So maybe you can't offload the work to other people, but there are plenty of manufacturers out there that made things more convenient for you. So you can buy pre-made desserts when you're going to parties, eat out, or buy pre-made food to put in your crock pot. I've actually been surprised. You can literally buy a bag of stuff, you dump it in the crock pot, and you cut it on in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
Go simple on your gifts. You don't have to make this big to-do out of the holidays, but a lot of people feel this pressure, and unfortunately, all of that just causes you to be less productive and enjoy yourself less, so it's really not great all the way around.
And this is all of those last few items there under offloading your work not only help you out when it's crunch time at the holidays. But when you're experiencing a time of growth in your business, you're going to have to do some of these things as a permanent change in your business. That's some of the things that we had to do, where we had to say, you know what, it's just today it is worth it for us to go to lunch and go out to a restaurant for lunch, because it will take us less time to go do that than it will take us to pack a lunch or whatever, cook something for dinner tonight. Instead, we're just going to go out, or any number of these other items here, handing off work to other assistants, developing a team around you. When you realize that, the amount of work that I put into doing this thing, if instead I was able to pay someone else to do that, or again, pay for the convenience of saving myself some time, I'll actually make money doing that. And when you can begin to do that on a regular basis, you've made a change in your business. You've made a shift in your business. And maybe you're beginning to go from a freelancer to a business.
And there are still going to just be those busy seasons that there's not a lot you can do. And you have to muscle your way through them, whether it's this holiday or these other swells in your business. But you have to buckle down. You got to get the work done, offload what you can, do convenience as much as you can, whatever it takes. But sometimes you're just going to have to be committed mentally to working longer hours. That doesn't mean you shouldn't take a break, though.
Right.
It just means that if you typically work X time on these days, it might mean some weekends. It might mean some later nights. Let the people in your life know that. Let them know what to expect.
Yeah, I was going to say, give the folks around you a definite heads up and say, hey, listen, I've got this busy season, whether it's, again, holidays or it's August, it's my busy season, whatever it is, and say, I'm just going to have to sit on the couch and do a little bit of extra work today, or I'm going to have to stay at the office a little bit longer today, whatever your context is, and give folks a heads up, let them know why, let them know that it's not forever. And that can go a long way in helping them to get through that. That speaks to the last point that we wanted to talk about, creating a plan for the future. So it's one thing to, knuckle down and say, I'm just going to have to work 100 hours a week this week, just, to make this work for this short amount of time. Okay, but great. But what about the next time that comes? So instead of letting those things just crash into your life and your schedule and just deciding, all right, today I've got to do the emergency plan, right? I've got to offload, I've got to put off tasks, I got to push deadlines, I got to, buy the paper plates, and all these kinds of things. And instead of doing that every time, are you creating a process so that the next time this comes your way, it's an opportunity instead of an emergency? We had something like this happened a few months ago where Keely saw a groundswell coming our way. We had a lot of quotes out there, a lot of conversations about possible work. And she realized, if all of these people say yes, I am going to need help. So she started recruiting the help to prepare for the work that was coming. And we had one of our most amazing months ever that liked to kill us. I mean, it was a challenge, but I can't even imagine what it would have been had we not gotten some things into place. We got some new team members on. We gave some existing team members some tasks that we could, like Keely said, instead of waiting, we got it off our plate, did all those kinds of things. And we made preparation for work that we knew was coming. So you plan your finances for the lean times, right? You put money in savings so that when the work dries up for a month, you can still survive. Well, are you doing the other thing? Are you doing the opposite rather? Are you saying there's going to be a groundswell one day of work? Am I ready for that? Do I have systems in place or people in place or resources in place, money in place, whatever it is that you need? Have you created a plan to get all that stuff in place?
And this is one of the things that I see the difference between a person who is a contractor or freelancer and it's just them, they don't have a team, and they're trying to manage multiple clients. I talk to small business owners and contractors like this all the time, and they just say, well, I can't handle this right now, or I can't handle that thing right now. I see them lose a lot of opportunities and actually really box themselves in and stress themselves out because they don't do this. They don't get help. They don't develop a plan. They don't figure this out. And then honestly, they just really limit themselves. They limit their own growth. Plus, they stress themselves out. And I try to tell my team all the time that we're a team for a reason, because there are times in their lives when they need the time off, and there's times in my life when I need the time off. And so we're here together. So these are our tips for you to deal with your productivity, deadlines at the holidays, the swell of work, whether it is, during the holidays or a busy season. This is our encouragement for you.
Yeah, so make sure that you're prioritizing your work and your personal deadlines. Reduce your tasks where you can. Offload that work as much as possible. Muscle your way through when there's nothing left to do. And then once you get through it all, create a plan for the future. If you're in the position where you're trying to offload some of your business's work and you think that we might be able to help you out with that, head over to r5websitemanagement.com, where we can help you out with your online presence, your content creation, or any other ways that we might be able to help your business